everyone, welcome to day 2 of our 2020 virtual SG Open conference. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and if you have yet to join our Telegram channel, please do so using this QR code as it is where you will get the latest updates. We will start in a while. So once again, today we'll be starting the event off with the coaching conference by David Jensen. David will be teaching us advanced stats versus eye tests today. And before he begins, we would like to show you a video from our partner, Singapore Tourism Board, and subsequently a short interview with the founders of Dahlan Moose. Right after that, David will jump right in. And remember, if you have any questions, do feel free to message the main chat, or if you are shy, you can message question bot at any point in time, and your questions will be recorded down and answered at the end of David's segment during Q&A. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Rudy. I'm the owner of IBK Dahlan Moose, and this club has been around. We are part of the Moose heritage. It's been around for many years, and it's been won the most number of championships in the Singapore Premier League. And I'm excited to be part of this team, developing the passion and the talent of Singapore floorball.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm the president of IBK Dahlan Moose. I joined the Moose family 2 years ago as a player, and I've since been invited by Rudy to join the management team to continue the vision of developing younger players in Singapore.
IBK Dahlan Moose was formed last year during SG Open 2019. I was helping look after some of the international teams that came down, and IBK Dahlan was one of them. And Urban approached me and said that he liked what we were doing, and he enjoyed the hospitality that we shared with the international teams, and we took it a step further, and then we became the first Singapore European team that was merged for floorball.
Our goal is to develop the top talent in Asia to a world-class level where they can play internationally. To achieve this goal, we are bringing in coaches and players, elite players from Sweden, to impart their skills and knowledge to our players so that we can help Singapore achieve an even greater height.
IBK Dahlan Moose, currently we have 2 teams in the men's league. We also have 2 teams in the women's league, and we are looking to expand our portfolio. We recently just merged with IBK Dahlan Moose Albatross, and we're looking to expand our team in the future.
IBK Dahlan Moose will be starting a youth academy to develop the young in Singapore because we believe that they need to be exposed to the sport at a younger age. They will be exposed to experience and the knowledge from Swedish coaches as well as players, and there will be more information on this later.
So we are going to be recruiting players for the Singapore Open next year for under 12, under 14 and under 17. For any players in Asia or anywhere in Singapore who wish to join us, you'll be exposed to talent from Sweden, and we'll be here to develop your skills. Please feel free to just contact us. IBK Dahlan Moose we are looking to send teams around the world. So Moose itself, we've been in Malaysia, we're defending champions, and what we do is that we meet other teams and get to know players in Asia and other parts of the world, and showcase Singapore floorball. Anyone who's keen on joining international tournaments can talk to us as well.
Last year we traveled to Korea for a tournament, and we are currently defending champions. We intend to actually travel to other parts of the world for future tournaments so that we can gain more international experience, and we welcome anyone who wants to join us. IBK Dahlan Moose aims to be an elite club for Asia. We aspire to develop floorball in these regions with the help of IBK Dahlan as well as Singapore Floorball Open.
We'll be holding trials and training camps for certain categories. We're looking at under 12, under 14, under 17, under 21, including the open category. So for players all around Asia, you can contact us, and we'll be able to expose you to international standards of world-class floorball. And hopefully all this will help to increase the level of competitiveness in Singapore and also in our region.
So that was an introduction by Dylan Moose. Now we'll be handing the time over to David.
Thank you very much, and thanks for taking your time again. I'm going to go straight into screen sharing mode here and show you my presentation for eye test versus advanced stats and what it means. So eye test, the definition of it would be what we use when we look at floorball. So we will use our eyes and we will interpret what's happening on court. And then if we're sitting with a friend, we will start talking about, are they supposed to attack like that? Is that the way they should defend? I think they should do it this and this way. So it's normally good fuel for discussions. And advanced stats, that's when you look into statistics that are a little bit more than just counting stats. And with counting stats, I mean like who scored and who had the assist and stuff like this. So advanced stats goes a little bit more under the hood and tries to look at how a team is actually playing. And I'm going to try to show you a little bit today how I work with that. And actually, all of these things are, so to speak, free stuff. It's like I'm not using anything extremely advanced or expensive to do this. So these things that I do are stuff that you could do as well, except for part of the big data stuff that I'm going to talk about in the end, but I'll let you know when we come there. And I'm also going to show you how this has helped us achieving big results with our team. So let's start. What are we going to do now? And what are we going to do if I make it down to Singapore this summer? So today I'm going to give you an introduction to how eye test and advanced stats actually work hand in hand. Because there's this big discussion going on, for example, in the hockey world, where like the old hockey guys would say that the eye test is more important. And the new age computer boys would say that the advanced stats is the most important thing. And I think it's weird to go one way or the other when they work good together. So I'm going to show you how I do that. And then some inspiration for you to work on how you work with statistics. And during the summer, there's a lot of deep diving we can do here. So collecting stats and how I do it, and try out my stats on court during practice sessions as well, like analyzing a practice game or whatever, and see how it can help your team on the court. So there's a lot of stuff that is able to do there. So, but just to differentiate a little bit, this is how it is. So eye test. What do my floorball eyes tell me? Like I said, the basics for almost every floorball discussion there is in the world is going to be eye test. And of course, you trust your eyes, especially as a coach when you've seen a lot of floorball. So eye test, important thing, but hard to measure for sure. And then I've divided the advanced stats into two categories here, small data and big data. And the small data stuff is that what you can do with just a Google Docs or an Excel sheet or whatever. It's small amount of data. And in this case, I must be the one collecting the data. Otherwise, I won't feel that it's reliable enough because it's me making judgments. You'll see why. But mainly, I'm focusing on scoring chances per game phase, and I'm going to show you exactly what that is in a minute. And then big data. This is big amount of data, and I'm not needed to be there collecting the data. Shot attempts is SAT. So that's the type of stuff that you will gather in there, scoring chances, but not per game phase. And Corsi and Fenwick. I'm just shortly gonna explain you what Corsi is. It comes from hockey. The name Corsi was actually a goalie coach in hockey. His name was Corsi. It's the amount of shots that are positive or negative for you when you're on the court. So if a player is on the court and 26 shots is fired in the offense for his team, and against him 18 shots are fired, so then his Corsi would be 26 plus and 18 minus, giving him a Corsi of 8. So he would be a plus player, so to speak, in terms of how many shots are fired in what direction. All right. But let's not focus so much on that. Those are the advanced stats. Above are the eye test. How do they work together? And how can you use it as a coach, regardless of what level you're coaching at? That's the most important thing for me. I want to give you guys some hands-on stuff that you can use. So let's start with small data, because eye test, there's not too much to say about that. Like I said, it's what your eyes see. But small data is interesting. And this is where I want to focus the most on, And I'm going to show you how we used small data to beat Sweden in the first game in the history of floorball that Switzerland has actually beaten Sweden in. I call it poor man's advanced stats because you can do it without any resources. If you just have some time and you have videotaped your game, you can use this to help out your coaching. So there's a big challenge with a national team like I'm coaching, and that is that the sample size will always be kind of small. We don't play too many games. We play a couple of games a year that actually matter a lot to us. So the sample size is always going to be small. That's a big challenge. So we have started looking at scoring chances and putting more emphasis on scoring chances than actual goals, which may sound a little bit weird because actual goals is, of course, what it's all about. But if we look at scoring chances, the sample size can quickly be quite big. So that's a big thing for us. The bigger the sample size, the more credible everything is. And when we divide these scoring chances into game phases, it gives us a clue about how the scoring chances are actually being created. And we divide these into scoring chances, big scoring chances, and goals. All of these three things are being tracked, and I'm going to show you how. So this is how it looks. And you have the game phases on the left side here. I'm going to show you with drawing. So I'm starting here now with ball. So with ball, that means that we're attacking. We have the ball and the opponent's defending. And we can gain a plus for a scoring chance if we create a scoring chance. But we will get a minus if we lose the ball and the opponents can strike back at us with a counter attack. So that's with ball. Counter press, number 2 here, that means that we lose the ball, but we put pressure on the opponents directly afterwards to try to win it back. And if we create a scoring chance, we have a plus. If they manage to get out of our counter press and they create something on us, we get a minus. Then there's the uncontrolled phase, which is when I can't find a definition that suits the actual situation, like the ball's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It happens, that comes into the uncontrolled phase. Then it's the opponent counter press, meaning that the opponents lose the ball and then they try to put pressure on us directly when we win the ball. And the fifth one that actually matters is without ball. And I have it in within these quotes that, and I say that because it's not really per definition without ball, because obviously you do have the ball, but this is the starting point is that we're defending and the opponent is attacking us. And when we win the ball, if we manage to create something on them with a quick counterattack, then that's a plus for us. And a minus for us would be if they create something with ball. So the most important thing here is that you see that I've divided the game up into different phases so that I can see where we're doing well and where we're not doing well. And what I look at is these things here. So scoring chances, big scoring chances, and goals. And I actually give the big scoring chances and the goals ×2 as a multiplier. So I got muted. I think I'm back again. I hopefully am. So with the big scoring chances and the goals getting factor 2 or a multiplier 2, that means that they, of course, are weighted as something or weighed in as something that is more important than the normal scoring chances. So this is kind of how it looks. All right. So let's have a look at an actual example of a real game. So these are the last 3 games we played against Sweden before we managed to beat them. So let's look a little bit on how it looked for us. So starting up top here with ball. Scoring chances for us were 26-12 with the ball. And big scoring chances were 15-4. But if we look at the goals, we were actually minus. We were 3-4 when it comes to scoring goals. So it's pretty easy to see that we were doing really well against the Swedes with ball before we managed to beat them. And had I not looked at this, maybe I would have lost faith in how we played and wanted to change something because we keep on losing to the Swedes all the time. Well, I can see here with my poor man's stats over the last 3 games before we actually managed to beat the Swedes that we were doing really, really well. And if I factor in these 2 multipliers, the result is actually plus 34 on my own scale, which is a huge result, like a great result with ball. So it was pretty obvious for me when looking at what we did that we were doing well with ball. And so our conclusion was before this game, when we made our game plan, that we keep on believing in what we do with the ball. Obviously, it seems to be working out in our favor. The next thing that we looked at was the uncontrolled phase. And if we look at the uncontrolled phase together here, we'll see that the normal scoring chances were 7-17. So the Swedes beat us all the time when it gets uncontrolled. The big scoring chances wasn't such a big difference. It was 3-4. But the goals were all once again in Sweden's favor with 3-0. And the total result, factoring in the multipliers, is a -18. So it was pretty obvious for us that stuff didn't work out for us when it gets to uncontrolled in the game. Probably this is because they have better players than we do. So once it gets out of hand in terms of systems, they're better at improvising. So they will have a huge advantage when the game gets uncontrolled. So limit the number of uncontrolled phases will be a huge thing for us if we supposed to beat the Swedes. And then the third one that sticks out to me here is without ball, meaning the Swedes have the ball, we defend, we try to counterattack, and they try to create something on us with ball. So for scoring chances, we managed 12 counterattack scoring chances, and they created 18 against us. In big scoring chances, actually 8-8. And in goals, it was 5-2 for the Swedes. So we know that they have the best team in the world on paper. So we probably will never be able to stop them from shooting, for an example. So this number of 18 here, this is something that's going to be really tricky for us to have any lower than this, because they're so good at shooting the ball. So we figured that our strategy has to be that we need to punish them instead. So if we make a save, or if we block a shot, or if they try to get too fancy with their passing game, we can't just stand back. We need to punish them, scoring goals, making them a little bit unsure when it comes to playing with the ball, so that they feel that we can strike back at them to give them some insecurity in how they play. So these were the 3 most important takeaways we had before stepping into this game that we would eventually win against the Swedes. And I'm going to show you how much this small data thing happened to us, or helped us. During the game, ITIS is actually more important than advanced stats, because we had no time to get our advanced stats. The only thing we actually look at during a game are the high danger scoring chances. So one of my assistant coaches is going to look at the high danger scoring chances and give me a report after every period saying line 1 is 2-1 in high danger scoring chances, line 2 is 1-5, and line 3 is 2-3, or something like that. So I have something to use for my decision making before we go into the third period, or something like that. But let's have a look at how we actually did in this particular game, knowing how we used these small data stuff to prepare us. So let's go into video mode. And now I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here and start sharing my iPad screen instead. So you will see a program called, or an app called, Coach's Eye. Maybe I have to stop sharing and then go into sharing mode again. Or did it work for you guys? I'll try it again here. So share iPhone. Good, now it's gonna work. I'm just gonna go into sharing mode on my iPad here, and then you'll see my game video like that. Perfect. All right, so this is how we just the small recap of what we wanted to do. Limit number of uncontrolled game phases. So how do you do that against a team like the Swedes? So we figured a good way out of doing it. Like you see here, the Swedes are coming up and trying to pressure us pretty hard with players. So the ball is set in the corner. It's a free hit for us. And we knew that we were throwing away too many balls here, making the game go back and forth, back and forth. So what we figured out was that once the Swedes come up to try to play their man-man defense on us. We could actually run away with players and buy ourselves time to stop us from just throwing balls away and being able to hold on to the ball, reducing the number of uncontrolled faces. So especially have a look at these two guys, the guy there and the guy in the corner, how they will now start running away from the Swedes. So the guy with the ball is running around down here, and now you'll see this guy run away to drag Kim Nilsson with him. And that opens up space. And then the ball gets played behind the net to another guy. Now look at this guy running away, pulling the next Swede away, opening up for Manuel Engel. And that way we managed to give ourselves some breathing room with the ball. So instead of just throwing it away, we managed to get ourselves into good positions to calm the game down. This is exactly the same thing. Guy gets pressured one-on-one. You'll see people leaving, pulling their players with them. He's leaving, and the Swedes are leaving, and we can run into the space that is created. So that was one way how we use this small data, this semi-advanced stats, quote unquote, to help us out. The other way was with ball. So I said that we felt we had good numbers and we wanted to believe in what we do. Well, this is how it looked during the game. This is actually 28 seconds into the game and it's 0-0. And we attacked with the ball.
An der letzten WM in Riga oder auch an den World Games in Breslau. Und bereits
nice goal, and it set the tone for the game. This is in a very important phase of the game. It's 4-3 for us, and we're going to hang on to the ball for a long time here. So I'm actually going to speed this footage up a little bit. This is us running around with the ball for a long time until we feel that it's time to strike. So Jan Zauk, one of our best guys, gets the ball on the side. He moves in and decides to go cross court with the ball. So this is a tricky thing, of course. Is this a decision that is a good floorball decision? Because the risk, of course, that the Swedes would pick up this ball, well, that's another discussion. But we for sure believed in what we did with the ball, and the ball ends up at Matthias Hofbauer's stick. And we score 2 goals that way that were huge goals in this game. And then the last thing that we mentioned was we know that the Swedes are going to be shooting. We know that they're going to be trying to play cross court on us. And we figured we can't stop them, but we can punish them when we get a chance. So have a look at this. Here's a shot from the Swedes, and our goalie has the ball. And instead of just taking it calm here, we want to punish them here to use the transition. We're listening now to the amazing Swiss-German language, by the way, which is a really special language. Now, that was us punishing them when they shoot. We also know that they're going to try to play a lot of cross court on us, and we need to punish them from that as well. So here, Manuel Engel will win a ball that if it had gone through, the Swedes probably would have scored on this. But look at his reaction now, how quick he is with understanding that he needs to do something with this ball when winning it. So he just wins it and runs away with it. And then he sends Manuel Maurer with a north-south pass for a breakaway and the decisive goal in this game. So just a little look at how to use the fancy stats or the advanced stats, the poor man's advanced stats to big victories. I can almost guarantee you we wouldn't have won that game had we not known these 3 things from my little Excel sheet of just my own poor man's advanced stats for how to break them down or what game phases we want to have a lot of and where we want to reduce the number of events that's happening during a game. I'm going to go back to my keynote here. And let's look at the actual results from this game. So I have the three main things up here. With ball, believe in what we do, limit the number of uncontrolled phases, and without ball, punish Sweden when we get a chance. So looking at this game for these categories, with ball, scoring chances were 9-7 for us. Big scoring chances were 3-2 to us, meaning looking exactly like the other games against them. But the big difference here, we scored the goals. So the goals were 3-1 for us. We see it. We see it up here. Here, 3-1, the goals for us. So I'm just going to go back a little bit here. Like that. So that was with ball. Here is limit the number of uncontrolled phases. So looking at the uncontrolled phase, which is the one that is marked now here, you see that not too much happened in the uncontrolled phase. Like scoring chances are 2-1, big scoring chances are 1-1, and the goals are 1-1. So it didn't happen too much in that part of the game, which was exactly what we wanted because we were getting destroyed there. And the big thing here was us finding out a way not to throwing the ball away, but running away with the Swedes and getting ourselves into time and space situations where we could actually handle the ball instead of throwing it away. And the third one, punishing Sweden when we get the chance with the ball. Looking at the actual goals from this, we were 2-1 up. So we scored 2 goals. They scored only 1 goal, meaning we found a way to beat them even when they started attacking us. So you saw that counterattack goal in the end there, for an example, that sealed the deal. So it wasn't really an undeserved victory, this. You could actually argue that we won this game deservedly, which is a pretty cool thing, looking at the paper and understanding how much better the Swedes are on paper than we actually are. Good. So we've talked about eye test, we've talked about small data, and we've talked about big data. And they all will affect my future coaching. I will see stuff with my eyes, I will use small data, and I will use big data to come to future coaching decisions. And the ideas can come from all three. I can see something, or I can see something in the statistics, but they need confirmation from the others. So I'm not going to go, the statistics say this, and then not go to my eyes. So I'll go to my eyes for confirmation and say, yeah, I see that. That looks like a problem. And then I'll try to change it with my future coaching. So if only one category says something and the other two do not agree, I would never change anything. So I need my eyes to be in it at all times. So for an example, eye test tells me we cannot create scoring chances. I'll go to the small data and the big data and check if it's actually true, if my eyes lie or not. Good. Let's have a look at the big data as well. I left this out for the last part because it's the only thing that's a little bit complicated, and it's the only thing where I actually need someone else to do stuff for me. So I have a statistician who helps us out with collecting this kind of data with a big Excel sheet. And I could not do this without him. So that's why I left it out for the last part, because until now, everything is very easy to do. But I'm going to try to explain to you this big data, what it actually is. So what we're looking at down here, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there are numbers down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, blah, blah. Those are the 20 games that we played during the last World Championship campaign. So we played 20 games. And then you'll see the white that is here. Those are our actual goals. And it's the goal share of actual goals, meaning how many percentage of the goals in a game did we score. So they will go from 0 down here. That's a game where we got shut out. And they will also go up to like 70% of the goals, which is up here. So those are the actual goals that we scored during games. And that's easy to understand. It's just the actual goals we score. But the green line here that's going in the middle like this, those are the expected goals, which is us trying to predict what's going to happen during a game. And I'm going to show you how this works now with a small example, how expected goals actually work. So think of it like this. We have 2 players here, player A and player B. Player A will play a pass to player B, and player B will shoot the ball. Let's pretend that this happens 100 times. And 20 of those 100 shots will result in a goal. So 20 of these 100 shots will result in a goal. That means that every time this type of shot is shot, A passes to B who shoots, it's worth 0.2 goals. And if we add all of these up, in the end, we will have a result for a game. So the expected goals for a game is when you add all of these shots together. So that will give you a really weird result. It will be how the game is supposed to end if everyone shoots like an average shooter. So maybe the expected goals result would be 4.2 versus 5.4. Those are not the actual goals. Those are the expected goals if people keep on playing the way people should play. And this is the important thing. Let's go back to this screen again. So the green ones are the expected goals for us. What are we expected to do during games? And if we look at this over the entire campaign, actually we were 0.48 in this, meaning we're expected to shoot every second goal, which to me means that we're doing something really good. So when we play the Swedes, the Finns, and the Czechs, we're expected to shoot every second goal, which makes us highly competitive, despite being probably the third or the fourth best team on paper. So it's a really, really cool thing for me to know that we're doing the right things because we're expected to shoot every second goal when we play them. Though, of course, maybe the Swedes have better shooters, the Finns have better shooters, that can matter. People can overperform or underperform, but that is the big data part of it. The least important thing, but for sure also a pretty cool thing. So let me summarize before we get to the questions. Eye test is what your eyes see. Small data is what you can do when you divide a game into game phases and you have a look at scoring chances, big scoring chances, and goals. And big data is the part where you probably need someone to gather a lot of data for you and interpret it. And I just wanted to show you that we do it, but also want to make sure that you know that I don't expect you to be able to do the big data stuff. But the other stuff, for sure, is something you can do, and for sure is something that helps out. And remember, I think you need both. You need the eye test because you need your feeling as a coach, but you need the stats because you want to have the confirmation from the stats that you're actually doing stuff right or wrong. Good. Perfect on time here for the questions. So main chat or the question bot for questions, please.
Hi, thank you so much, David, for your conference. I think it was helpful to many of us. Okay, so for the first question, we have, what do you mean by scoring chances versus big scoring chances?
That might be me just misusing the English language a little bit. Maybe I should just have gone high danger scoring chances versus medium danger scoring chances. That might be me translating something from Swedish to English and not really translating it the way it should be. That's a great question. So think of it like scoring chances being normal scoring chances and big scoring chances being high danger scoring chances. So I just differentiate the high danger scoring chances from the normal scoring chances. So if someone would shoot the ball from far out, that would be a normal scoring chance. And if people would be in a 2-on-1 situation and the ball gets played over the center line to someone who shoots the ball with a one-timer, that would be a high danger scoring chance. Good question.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, we have, hello, I have a question with regards to if you are a player analyzing your own game, what data should you focus on more? Are there any aspects or statistics that are more valuable than others?
That is a great question. I think if you're a player and you don't have help from a coach who can do this small data stuff that I showed you here, I don't think you should focus too much on statistics. I think it's important to make sure that the sample size is big. I think one thing you shouldn't do too much is to focus on your plus minus statistics, because plus minus statistics is something that people like to look at, but the sample size is so small. Like there are so few goals scored. Maybe plus minus, plus minus being you get a plus if you score a goal when you're on the court, and you get a minus if you get scored on when you're on the court. This might matter after a long season, but do not over analyze stuff like that after 10 games or something like that, because theoretically you could be tying your shoelaces standing next to the board and your teammates can score a goal and you get a plus, or the other way around, someone on your team can make a huge mistake and you can't do anything about it and they score and you get a minus. So getting the sample size up is for sure something that's important if you're going to analyze your own game. But I wouldn't care too much about it if I was a player and I didn't have any support from my coach in that.
Okay, for our next question, two people have asked, what is the name of the app you use on your iPad to show the video analysis?
It's called Coach's Eye. It's an app that exists in the Android and the Apple environments. It's really good. It's like maybe $10 or something like that, so it's not very expensive, and you can import your videos to it, and then you can draw on it, and you can send feedbacks, turn it into video files and send them. So a great app, Coach's Eye. I'll write it in the chat so that everyone sees how it's written, like that.
Okay, so Ogola from Kenya asked, how do you get your data? Does someone count them or is it machine calibrated?
Yeah, so for the small data, it's just me sitting with my screen, looking at the game and just filling out how many scoring chances and high danger scoring chances there are during a game. So it's actually easy. If you just run the game once, I still look at the game for a second time every time because I want to make a second opinion. So while I'm watching, I'm just filling out the form at the same time. Though these big data stuff, when I was talking about the complicated stuff, the expected goals and that kind of stuff, that's not done by me. That's done by a colleague of mine, and he has an Excel sheet where he's sitting and manually also looking at the data. So we have no computers or machines collecting data for us. It's all handmade, so to speak.
Okay, for our next question, we have, who is the best offensive player in the Swiss team and why?
This is a question that it's a great question, and this is a question you can answer in different ways. So if I look at the small data stuff that I've gathered, you could argue that now for the last couple of games that we've played, that Christoph Meyer and Nicola Bischofberger are two play drivers, guys that can make sure that our small data stuff looks good. If you look talent-wise, goal-scoring-wise, it's really hard not to say Jan Zauk, who's playing for Mullsjö in the Swedish Super League. I cannot recommend you enough to go and have a look at this guy. He is just amazing. Jan Zauk, number 61 in Mullsjö, he has top 3 hands in the world, I would say. Just an amazing player. Someone I would pay lots of money just to go and watch. He's fantastic.
Okay, so for our next question, what do you do with the small data that you gather since the game is over and opponents will be different with the next game? And does it help you with the next training or what?
That's also a great question. So it for sure helps me in terms of which direction we're heading, and it also helps me for the next time I'm facing the same team. Of course, we have an environment where we play the same top opponents over and over again, since we play these Euro Floorball tours where we meet the Czechs, the Finns, and the Swedes, and in the World Championships, the closest games will be played against these teams. So that's of course something that's special for us. But it also does help me with the next training. It could also give me, it gives me a feeling for where our lines are heading. It gives me a feeling for where we're heading as a team. So a little bit of both. That's a good question. If you ask that question, you have made progress in terms of small data already, which makes me really happy.
For our next question, a more personal question is, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years' time? And would you ever consider coaching another national team?
That's a great question. I'm feeling so good in my position where I am right now. I'm so thankful to the chance that the Swiss Federation has given me, and floorball wise, I feel very Swiss. So I'm going to coach 2 more World Championships for the Swiss here, the 2 upcoming years. And after that, the way I see right now, I can imagine to keep up the cooperation with the Swiss Federation in some way, if it's coaching the team or if it's doing something else for them. But I could also see myself, for example, helping a club team, but on a very high level. Like I would like to be in charge of how an entire club is playing, not only one team, but helping out, creating some kind of coaching philosophy Bible for a whole club, to help how to educate younger players, how the best teams in the club are supposed to play, stuff like that. And I mean, I'm a Swede. If it would come to that one day that I'd be coaching another nation, then of course it would be Sweden. But it's so hypothetical, of course, and it's not something that I think about, honestly.
Okay, for our next question, someone asked, does speed matter in how you decide to coach your team tactically?
Speed does matter. I would say that the most important thing, speed is important if we want to play pressing. Like when we lose the ball and we go counter pressing, for an example, or if we go full court pressing, then speed matters a lot. But I would say that the even more important thing for a player would be, I don't know how to translate this into English the best way, but I think I'd call it speed endurance. So if you need the speed, but you also need to be able to perform rush after rush after rush. So what we see, that's the most important thing. Like if you do 10 rushes, you need the rush to be quick, but you also need to have a small difference as possible between the first and the 10th sprint that you do on court. So that is maybe even more important, because it won't help us very much if someone is really speedy for the first 4 sprints, but can't manage the 10th or the 11th. So that's something that we work on a lot, because we want to have pressure on our opponent the whole time. And that matters so much more now than what it did like 10, 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, you could get away with having a player who's not fit. That's not the case anymore. And especially our forwards, our wingers and our centers, they need to be extremely fit. Otherwise, we will get run over by the best teams.
Thank you. For the next question is, how fast can you analyze the ice stats since you play games every day in the World Cup? And can you change plans like in a very versatile way?
That is also a great question. So eye test will help me during games, because I'm already after the game, I have like a mindset of where I'm at and what I think went wrong. And then I go quickly to the small data. And actually we have a guy in the stands during the games that does in-game video tagging for us. So directly after the game, I have the game sorted into these game phases, so I can just quickly have a look at all of our zone entries with ball, all of the uncontrolled situations or stuff like that. And then I have them all lined up for me in our video program. So I can just have a look at the maybe 15 uncontrolled situations and have a look at it and see how it looks. And then I get the confirmation to my eye test that way. And then I can actually be pretty quick with that. So if I get a couple of hours after a game, I normally have the next game plan in hand. But that's because we do this live tagging during the games. Had we not done that, it would have been mainly eye test and nothing more than that. And then you just have to trust your eyes. I mean, as a coach, like I said, you've normally seen a lot of floorball. So normally, I hope you have at least a theory for what you want to do in your head. Whether that theory is right or not, that's another thing. But a lot of the time, it's being confident in what you think about and then selling it well, presenting it well to the team so that they can buy into it. I have a feeling a lot of time that that's more important than what you actually say.
Wow, that's impressive. For our next question, for a more junior player that comes into your national team, how would you recommend for him to improve his game?
So I think this is a two-part question for me. The first thing that is maybe the most important thing is they need to, and we will be talking about this on Sunday, the functional technique part of floorball is so important to have. So if you don't have enough functional technique, like you've not been walking around in your home dribbling with a ball enough and you haven't practiced enough, then it's really hard for me to coach these guys. So they need to have like a ground level of technique. And if they don't, then it's really hard for me, because what I'm good at teaching decision making, for an example. And I can't teach decision making if someone's technique is lacking too much. So the functional technique part, which is just hours of practice, I can't do that for them. The players have to do that themselves. And if they do, then they're well set up to understand my feedbacks and understand the small data stuff that we've been doing today, for an example, or the decision-making stuff that we'll be talking about on Sunday. So junior players, they need to practice physically hard, of course, but they need to have a functional technique.
Okay, so since we're running out of time, we have one last question for you, which is, would training penalties even more have mattered in the previous loss to Sweden, or is it more mental in a WFC semi-final or final?
Great question again. I don't think it would have helped too much practicing the penalties more. We knew who were shooting, or we had 7 guys that we were picking from, depending on how they were playing and who was going to be the goalie and stuff like that. So the guys knew who would be shooting, and they actually knew in more or less in what order they would be shooting. And we had used a sports psychologist for visualization in terms of shooting the penalties. So we were prepared. And I don't think the actual practicing of penalties would have helped, because simulating this circumstance with 14,000 in the crowd and playing a semi-final in the World Championship and potentially being the first time we could eliminate Sweden out of one of these tournaments, I don't think it's possible. Though what could help is these players playing more and more important games at home, playing more and more games in front of big crowds, and then maybe getting a penalty in one of those games, or maybe playing decisive minutes in those games. I don't think it matters if it's a penalty or if it's a counterattack, or if it's just as long as it's a pressure moment with kind of the same circumstance. That's what helps. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think what we should have done, we should have been more active during the overtime in that game. We should have maybe forced the decision to happen during the normal play, because once it gets to penalties the way it was there, the 5 guys they can put out there, they've been through these moments so many times. So maybe that was what I should have done different.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. And we'll see you again tomorrow, same time at 5 p.m. I understand that tomorrow
For sure.
will be longer. It'll be a longer segment, right? Yeah.
It will be, yeah. I think there's a shorter break, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna look into one defense system, and I'm gonna show you with video and with digital tactic boards how I think about one defensive system. And then if I come down this summer, we will do that again, but for all defensive systems there are in Floorball.
Okay, thank you so much, David. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay, thank you so much, David, for speaking with us. Now we'll be moving on to our iconic Singapore, and today we'll be covering Art Science Museum. After this, we'll be proceeding on to Coach's Corner by Philip Dahlgren, who will be covering offensive transitions. The giveaway will follow shortly after this video.
Hi, we're back! Situated behind us is the Art Science Museum. As you can see, it's shaped like a lotus flower.
This is the first museum in the world to combine art, science, technology, as well as culture.
That's all for this video, and see you at our next destination. Bye!
Okay, for the benefit of those who weren't here yesterday, these are our giveaway details. So answer the question in the next slide and send one private Zoom message to the trivia bot in this format. Answer, your Instagram username and Telegram username. Please don't send it in the main chat so everyone will see. And remember that this is not a speed contest. You have 2 minutes to answer, and feel free to use Google to search up your answers. And at the end of the day, we'll pick one lucky winner from each iconic segment and announce them on our social media channels. So for the prize of a matte black water bottle from Unihawk today, the question is, the architect that designed Art Science Museum is the famous Moshe Savli. Name another iconic place in Singapore that he designed. Remember to send your answers in this format, and your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, your time is up. The answer to this question is actually the Marina Bay Sands Integrated Resort and Jewel Changi Airport. So Moshe Safdie is a famous Israeli-Canadian architect who has designed many iconic places around the world. He is known for his creative and futuristic designs, which is probably why he was engaged to build so many important places in Singapore. So right now, we'll be continuing to the Coach's Corner, held by our very own Philip Dahlgren. He'll be covering offensive transitions today.
Hello, I'm Philip, and welcome back to the second episode of Coach's Corner. In today's episode, we are going to go through offensive transitions. Just like in the first episode, we will play through them in one shot, and then we will replay them with some comments. And here we go.
Intensiv, spännande första period har vi varit med om så här långt. Här är bra spelat och Dalen så kommer det mål igen. Det ser så enkelt ut där det spelas in i slottet för Albin Karlsten som gör 2-1 målet för Dalen.
Rappa fötter på honom också. Backen i Falun och här snor Dalen bollen och det är fram och tillbaka innan målskottet kommer ifrån Åkerlund.
Ja, ska matchen fortsätta i samma mönster då kan det här sluta exakt hur som helst. Andron, fint spelat och så går faktiskt in. Den hittar in. Ja, ett mål som kommer egentligen på en chans som absolut inte borde ha gått in egentligen, men de bollarna räknas också såklart. Ny läge då.
Ulviken som vi såg vann igår. Det är väl en indikation på vad som kan hända. Här kommer Andersson till Hedlund. Alltså svag passning från Andersson. Här får han chansen ändå. Då gör han sitt hattrick. Kristoffer Andersson. Ja, han gör inte mål där heller. Det kommer inte gå det här för Thorengruppen om de inte tar vara på sina chanser. Åkerlund. Och den går in under Stiglunds arm. Bara den här matchen och de första 5 minuterna. Här kommer Stelledalen. Åkerlund har med sig Nystedt och öppet mål och det är reducerande. Söker efter Ekström. Tjuvar sig fram den vänsterkanten. Hedlund och det är kvitterat. 2-2. Och det tar 20 sekunder. Ekström sätter full fart i pressen mot Nystedt. Nystedt tar en svår väg igen. Oj, vad kaxigt det är. Viktor Nystedt, vilken prestation. Han hittar över till Nilsson och Nilsson gör mål! Erik Nilsson gör 4-2. Vilken prestation.
All right, so here we go. We'll start with the first clip.
Intensiv, spännande första period.
So what we have here is they take over the ball. It's kind of like a play up in a way, but an interesting thing is that if you're going to be successful most of the times, you really have to make very quick decisions. And you kind of have to know what to do before you even get the ball. What happens here is a perfect example of that. There was a pass from here to this righty defender who will make a straight pass here. Before that even starts, you have a player in the middle here who will start to move in this direction. So what happens is it would be a pass, and right here it's going to be a direct pass inside and a direct shot. The shot, a wrist shot, is not the hardest shot in the world, but it doesn't matter because everything goes so quick in this situation that I spoke about hitting the target accuracy, and it's the same thing here, as you will see now when we play this situation.
Här är bra spelat för Dalen så kommer det mål igen. Det ser så enkelt ut där det spelas in i slottet för Albin Karlsten som gör 2-1 målet för Dalen.
Rappa fötter på honom också.
So here again, you see that we have a player here that basically wants the ball more than the fallen players. He gets it, and the first thing always on Ibikodalen's mind when they win the ball is to attack. And you can see here that they come in a 2 versus 1, and it will be a few really nice passes, pass, and then goal.
I Falun och här snor Dalen bollen och det är fram och tillbaka innan målskottet kommer ifrån Åkerlund.
So here we have, again, like a play up almost. The good thing with this, if you look here, of course, a lot of teams, I mean, if you're lucky enough to have players like this, righty and lefties, this is really good. Because what you have, I will show here, is that you have a lefty here, you have a righty here, you have a lefty on this side, and you have a righty here, which means that you can make simple direct passes very fast. So they are basically on the outside here, which is probably what the opponent want in this situation. They're trying to take away this kind of pass. But the pass will go very, very fast over here. And then it will go straight up here. And after that, I will pause again just to show you something after that. But that's what happens here to begin with, as you can see now. Okay, so the pass went up. Now Dalen has a really good situation here because they have a player with the ball under control. Another good thing that I should mention here, with a righty in this situation, since he's facing this way, he's facing towards the play, so he can see everything here. He can see if someone would come and pressure from this side, and here as well. So that's really good when you have a righty on this side, and it will be the same on this side, of course. Now, what happens here is that you have a defender here, and you have a center here. Then you have a defender right over on this side here. The problem with him is that if this player was not here, this defender would most probably be able to step up a little bit higher on Alexander here. But due to the fact that you have this player here, he is a little bit worried, because if he steps up too far up, he will just make Christopher will just make this pass down here. So because of him being here, he is dragged down a little bit so that we actually have this pass available. Now, since he's such skilled player, this player in front of the goal, and he's been taught and trained by some of the greatest coaches, he will actually make a move this way automatically. And the reason why he does that is just in case Christopher here needs another option. Let's say that they block this pass, he would be able to make a pass down this way, maybe do a 1-2 and run in, or they can at least control the ball there. So what will happen is that he will move down, and then you will see Christopher make a pass, the hardest shot that Alexander Hedlund has ever taken in his whole life. That is a little bit of a joke, as you can see. It's a little bit of a softie, but it goes fast. Here is a situation that I really like. So what we have here is pressure, which we're not talking so much about, but we're going to see the pressure, winning the ball and quickly making an offensive transition. So the Dalen forwards are not in a line, which you should never be, but they are helping each other in this situation. When the ball comes over on that side, you can see that Christopher takes off. And what he does is that he's steering. So they want this defender to go in this direction, either by himself or making that pass from here to here. So when he does that, Alexander will stay a little bit inside to cover just in case, so that they can't make this pass really straight in here, and then they pass through those players. So by doing that, in this defensive transition that will become an offensive transition, you can see that the Dahlem players knows kind of the players behind here. They kind of can anticipate what will happen. And you can see that, boom, here. So now, in this situation, this player can start to read that the pass is going to come straight up here. So he's anticipating that. You can't gamble too much, maybe, because if it's a very skillful player, he might be able to utilize that. But he sees that, he wins the ball, he makes a quick pass, and then you see how quickly they get to from a winning the ball, an offensive transition where they actually have a goal scoring opportunity. And you can see that here. Okay, so here's the next situation. So we have a double here, double team where Kristoffer Andersson wins the ball. And just like I mentioned before, when Dahlem wins the ball, they are thinking attack right away. So what happens here is that Kristoffer's going to take the ball, and the first thing in Alexander Hedlund's mind is to take off with speed. And due to that, they create, because Kristoffer Andersson is going to make a good dribble here, of course, they have a chance to counter very quickly. And you will see that now. I will stop soon again, but here we go. Now, kind of like a 2 versus 1 here. And Alexander turns, so he's ready for the pass. The pass is not fantastic, as you can see here. It goes behind Alexander. But then, due to that, Kristoffer reacts very quickly. So what happens here is that Alexander, it kind of like they kind of stopped here. So everyone thinks that the offensive transition is over, but there's something called a V, or you probably have other terms for it. Is that a player without the ball, if you're marked, you have to try to get open. And one way of doing that would be to go one way to get this defender to go there, and then go up like that, and hence that kind of is a V. And Kristoffer does a mini V here. He stops, and this defender is completely ball watching, which means that he will have a chance to come up here, and the pass will come right away, and it's a direct shot, and it's a goal. There it is, and boom. There it is, and boom. There's here, you can see another really good situation. Here's they win the ball high up against a team. They're passing it over to this side, and this player, he's looking up, and he can see right here that this player is open, or will be open, because if you count the green players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So none of them really have him. But if that pass is made here, it's going to be a little bit of a tricky pass. It needs to be like perfect on this side to his blade, since he's a righty, and he has to be able to control that turn. The problem is that he probably knows that he has space, but he won't know until he turns where this defender is. But instead of passing it right away, he waits for this player to turn and go in this direction. By doing that, he has turned and he's moving in towards the goal, and all he has to do is just tap in, and it's a goal, which would not happen if he made the pass right away. And you can see that here again. There is the turn, pass, and boom. Here again. There is the turn, pass, and boom. There he comes in. This one, okay, so here we go, Mr. Paul Coffey, Victor Nystedt. He just takes off here, as you can see. He makes a pass, and look at him just blowing past everyone. And by doing that, he's creating a 3 versus 2. And it's so fast. I mean, as a coach, you would go crazy on the two on these 3 players up here. You know, that 3 attacking players that they let a defender just outrun like this. But I mean, it's understandable because he's so lightning fast. So the pass will come here, boom, and then because Victor comes in the middle, it opens up a 3v2, and the pass will come in to Victor, who will just score one of the easiest goals that he has scored. Now, if Victor doesn't take this run, this never happens. And Victor is like the new type, the new style of offensive defenders that you have nowadays. That is the 4th player in attack we talk about. With Victor, sometimes he might be the 1st player in attack. But by doing that, you can create number advantages, which they do in this situation. And there's the pass. And here, again, just emphasizing, look at this. When they win the ball, they are just, you can see those 2 players, they're just taking off right away. They know that this is a golden opportunity. Now, what Alexander does is something really good, is that he's running straight here later on, is that he's running straight. But this defender is also running straight next to him. So for him to actually get available later on for a shot, he will have to make just a little bit of a movement from here out. And that little movement, which doesn't look like much, is the reason why he actually gets the pass, and then he can take that shot. And it's a wrist shot. Again, quick shot, low shot, those are the best kind of shots. And you will see it here again now. There comes the movement, you saw that, boom, and then there's the shot. Last one, I just have this one, and of course this is the way to explain this is just that Victor Nystedt decides to be the boss, and he will just take it. And why make the easy way when you can make it more exciting for everyone to watch? And yeah, I leave my comments after that and just watch what this guy does here. It's amazing.
Sätter full fart i pressen mot Nystedt. Nystedt tar en svår väg igen. Oj, vad kaxigt det är. Victor Nystedt, vilken prestation. Han hittar den över till Nilsson och Nilsson gör mål! Full fart i pressen mot Nystedt. Nystedt tar en svår väg igen. Oj, vad kaxigt det är. Victor Nystedt, vilken prestation. Han hittar den över till Nilsson och Nilsson gör mål! Erik Nilsson gör 4-2. Vilken prestation.
Incredible goal. And that, ladies and gents, is our episode of Offensive Transitions. See you.
Hi guys, Christopher here. I'm gonna talk to you about some offensive transitioning and what you should think about when you have the ball in their zone. So the first thing that we do as a team or as a line is that we talk about what type of play system they play. If they play a 2-1-2 or a 2-2-1. So we always come up with a plan on how we want to execute the game before the game. And it makes it easier because it's always easier to make small changes in the plan that you have than to come up with a completely new plan at the game. So what we think about and what I think about is I want to position myself where I can be as annoying as I can for their defensemen. So I try to place myself between their center and between their defensemen, just to create a kind of space and confusion for them, so they don't know who's gonna mark me when I get the ball. And usually it gives me an extra second with the ball to be able to make a threat or maybe take a shot. And I think it's really important on how you place yourself in their zone, and it can make a huge difference if you get 2 seconds with the ball or if you get 4 seconds with the ball. So what you want to place yourself is you want someone to be in the high castle, because the high castle is a really dangerous zone. So someone on their team is gonna have to pretty much mark you at all time. So we always try to have at least one guy on the high castle, and we always try to have one guy who can help out, and he is behind their net or around their goal. So if I get the ball in the pocket, then I can play it straight down behind their defenseman if I get pressure on me. And if I don't get pressure on me, it means that their defenseman hesitates, and I can move the ball and make a threat by myself, or I can usually find the cross pass because on how we are placing ourselves in their zone. So the high castle is really important, and you don't want to stand still in the high castle. You want to move in and out, and you can change the player who is moving in and out. But it usually, most goals in the Swedish league are scored from the high castle. So it's a really efficient way to score a goal if you get the pass. And you always try to find the passes in the high castle. But they're not always open, so you try to make them open by moving in and out and moving the ball behind their net. And you want to break patterns. So to make it hard for their defense play style, you want to break a pattern as a forward or as a back attacking. Always try to make a threat or make their players move their feet or make a run from one side to another, or when your teammate is moving out from one area, you are moving into that area, because usually when a teammate is moving out from one area, that area becomes open. So if you move there, you can usually get the ball and usually make a threat or make them react to what you're doing. And what's the most important thing that I think is that you want to keep your eyes up pretty much at all time. So before you get the ball, you want to know where your teammates are and where their teammates are placed. So where your teammates are and where your opponents are placed at the field. So when you get the ball, you know what you want to do with it. If you can find a fast pass, or if you need to play a safe pass, or maybe if you got the space to make a threat and take a shot. So that's mostly what I think about in the offensive transitioning. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Coach's Corner by Philip Dahlgren. And because we're running short, we're right on time. So right now we will be starting the player development camp. Today we'll be covering the art of shooting, and we'll be following the same format as yesterday, where the guys in Dahlem Moons will cover the basics of shooting, followed by the IBK Dahlem players covering more advanced concepts. This video will cover wrist shots, slap shots, and drag shots. Before that, we'll be showing you a short clip by our partner, Singapore Tourism Board. Enjoy!
Okay, so we're over to wrist shot. There are
again, many types of wrist shot too. The ones that we will showcase is one that is half wrist shot, half almost like a sweep shot. And then it's the normal wrist shot that you use a lot in games. First one, same thing. You want to keep the ball inside the triangle. Some people like it further back. I prefer it a little bit further in front. The sweep slash wrist shot is just you move the stick back, you connect in front of the ball to get the flex, and follow through. So it will be right here, you come back, connect right in front of the ball, and follow through. So it would be like this. So I show one more time. Triangle, move it back, come in, connect, use the flex in the stick. So it's boom, and then you can see there. So now we go again. I do just 2 shots after each other. So first one, and then the second one. So that's the sweep kind, where you can get a little bit more power perhaps. Maybe you use that a little bit further away, or if you're a defender and you have there's a lot of people in front of the goal, that might be a good shot because it goes quite straight and it might hit something, or it makes it hard for the goalie perhaps to see it. Second wrist shot is basically you move the ball in, and then right at the end you utilize the wrist to get the power and quickness in the shot. So it would be like this. You move back, come in. The shot is still going to be in this triangle. So it would be here, come in, and then it's just a snap like that. So again, with a little bit of speed, you move back, come in, and then there it is. So it's a very good shot to use. You can shoot it this way or while looking at the goalie. So I come in here and then I go, boom. It's very hard. And it's a very good shot to use when you get closer to the goal, because it's almost like a surprise shot. If you can see, I'm dribbling, so it's very hard for the goalkeeper to know actually when I'm gonna shoot. And then out of nowhere, I just go boom, and I shoot. Or I shoot higher, like that. So that's the wrist shot that they will showcase now. Boom.
So when I'm shooting a wrist shot, I feel like a big advantage is that when I have the ball on my blade, the defender doesn't know as easily when I'm going to shoot. So I can just move the ball, and then take the shot when I see that there's some open space to shoot. And what I do with the ball is that I have the ball kind of far out on the blade, and I try to use the flex of the stick as much as possible. So something like this, maybe. So use the flex of the stick and just explode with the wrist.
Kvar och Dalen fortsätter att pumpa på upp i zon. Man vinner bollen per omgående hela tiden. Öppnar upp sig på bortre ytan där Hedlund befann sig. Andersson tar skottet och bollen är fortfarande lös framför mål.
Bra försök igen utav på vänsterkanten istället. Nystedt vill ha den igen, får den också till höger. Ner så spelar man bra in i slottet också för direkt avslut. En intensiv, spännande första period har vi varit med om så här långt. Här är bra spelat av Dalen, så kommer det mål igen! Det ser så enkelt ut där det spelas in i slottet för Albin Karl. Degeryd. Bra passning över på andra sidan och direktskott också från Landström, och då är målvakten Jansson där.
Andersson, fin passning här på nytt läge.
Och så är det ett jätteläge. Och så är det läge och det är mål.
So we're going to showcase slap shot. It's almost like an extension of a wrist shot, but you move it back a little bit. Ball is still in a triangle in front of your feet. You move up, you connect, actually before in the ground, before you hit the ball. You don't connect at the ball. Then it becomes almost like you hit the ball like that. So you want to connect somewhere before to really see you get that flex in the shaft to follow through. Now, there are many, many types of slap shots. Some like to go very high up here. Some like to go just a little bit like this. Some like to go behind here. I would recommend you work on all, but the higher you go, the longer it takes, the easier it is for a defender to block it or for a goalkeeper to actually see the shot. So I would recommend that you have not so high backspin. So you come here and then come in and then follow through. So I will showcase just a few shots. Emphasize on technique, not power at all. So it's like this, back, come in, and then follow through. So I go a little bit slower, come in, get that power through. Like that. And now I go a little bit faster now. So now you put it in. And again, one more. Go back, and then you follow through. Okay?
I've never actually taken a slap shot in my life. I always prefer a drag shot.
So now I'm gonna show you and give you a little tips on the slap shot. And I don't know, I think everybody has a unique style of shooting the slap shot. Some use the weight and some use the flex in the stick. So I play with a pretty light stick with a really soft blade, so I need to adapt to that. So I like to use the power and use the flex. So I need to be a little bit controlling about how much power I put it in, because if I put in too much, this is just gonna bend backwards and then it's gonna go down in the corner somewhere. So, but mainly the thing with the ball is that you can't have it like behind you. If you have it behind you, then you will have like no force. Then it will be like this one. But if you get it like, you can think around here, it's gonna be some different for you guys. It's gonna be where you self feel comfortable shooting. But if it's a slap shot, like not in the middle, not here, like try to get it there so you can like come in with the body, like with the hips and the core as same as the drag shot. So I can just show you how, like from standing still, how I would do it. I would do like this. So it's like I'm rolling the ball a little bit forward to get the momentum. I can like put up the stick slow, or I can put up the stick fast. But if you want like a controlled shot and you have the time, then it's easier to control and match when you're gonna hit the ball if you do it slowly. But in game it's gonna be a little bit harder, so it's a little bit hard to score a goal. But mainly just think about which stick you play with and like soften on that, and try to use as much force as possible, and just adapt to when the ball is coming, if you get a pass or something, because that's like, if you don't get a good hit on the blade, then it's not going to be a good shot. So I'm like to have it a little bit farther than the middle of the blade. So I used to shoot it here because it's still pretty stiff, but it's still pretty soft. So it's like in the middle area, so a little bit forward.
Ta den där också.
Hi guys, I'm going to show you some slap shots and some tips. Yes, so I start to use my right leg because I'm a left shooter. So I put my weight on my right leg and then I follow with the body. So I put the flex down a bit before the ball. And then just full the swing with all the power I can and just aim with my arms.
En gång till. Ja.
Mot Nord som får ner bollen skickligt också och tar sen vägen runt kassen. Kommer ett avslut också från backposition. Så många bra täck av Dalen försvarande. Täck. Nytt av Sakurov, så tar man sig ner så spelar man hämnden på egen. Så kommer det bra skott också ifrån hämnden. Så kommer det bra skott avslut överhuvudtaget från Jönköpingen. Här kan det komma ett direktskott i utsidan på målburen också. Det är bra. Upp till Glimberg på nytt. Tar med sig bollen. Nej. Skott. Hesmer igen. Upp till Glimberg som skjuter mål! Det är bra spelat av Jönköping. Hesmer till Glimberg. 1-0 efter 7. Upp till Glimberg som skjuter mål! Det är bra spelat av Jönköping.
So we're into drag shot. Drag shot, there are a lot of different ways of shooting drag shot. The one that we try to teach is that you should try to utilize shooting from the base up to the middle of the blade. The reason for that is that the hardest part of the blade is right at the shaft. And that's where you see the flex. You utilize the flex. The more you get to the tip of the blade, you see how it's really getting softer and softer, which means that if you're trying to shoot really hard, you look at my blade now, look at that blade. But if you do it here, you can utilize it with the shaft a little bit more. So the key is to try to, especially if you're a beginner, to utilize this part and get the correct proper technique. Now, same thing where you place the ball. We talk usually about a triangle, but it can be anywhere inside that triangle. Again, this is basic shots, and you can try this out a little bit as you go. Some like to have the feet this way. Some like to have that foot a little bit more like this. Some of the superstars, they shoot like that because the reason for that is probably because when you're moving in that direction, and it becomes a natural thing to continue moving. While if you have that, it could be a little bit problematic to continue moving. So there was a fly. Somewhere inside here, some people like to have it a little bit further back. Some people like it a little bit further in front. The problem here is that if you're going to drag shoot it and it's in front here, you probably have to take another step. Or you pull it back here. So the way we're going to practice, and the boys are going to show it later, is when you move it back and take the shot, as well as when it's standing still here. The key is to get the flex in the shaft. So I'm just going to keep the blade right at the ball. And if you notice, I'm tilting the blade a little bit towards the ball. That is so that you don't get that kind of golf swing on the ball. Then you don't get power. So it's all down here. And I'm utilizing the flex in the shaft to get the power in the shot. So we show it again, quick. And then my boys will show it. So you can dribble also, but I would prefer that you keep it basic here. You utilize really that shaft, flex, and then you get the power. Now when you shoot, you follow through, of course, also. But everything now is basic, trying to feel proper. After a while, you can start to maybe do a little bit more that you dribble like that, move it back, and come in and shoot. The boys will show it now.
Moving on to the kind of more of a control shot, I guess we can say. We call it like bågskott in Swedish. I don't know how to translate it in the best way, but this is the shot I'm talking about. So what I like to think about is step one, pull the stick back so you can get the velocity of the shot as high as possible. Don't have the ball like here and then do like this, then you won't shoot as hard. So put the stick back and follow with your whole body. So when I'm going to shoot, I will be turning my body, something like this. So all of the velocity in the ball is coming from the core and the legs, and not as much as maybe my hands or anything. And one important thing that I see a lot of people do, but I guess it's not that easy to be good at, as when you're shooting, look up so you can see where to shoot, and then just try to shoot in that direction.
Nytt frislag för Dalen som håller emot målmässigt. Nu när vi har spelat 5,5 minut utav det. Håller emot målmässigt. Nu när vi har spelat 5,5 minut utav den andra perioden. Och där är det ett bra försök igen.
Man får också med sig ett inslag. Måleffekt för Dalen. Och det är Ludvig Svensson som gör kassen. Och tiden 10:24.
In bollen i straffområdet, målområdet. Och där är straffområdet, målområdet.
Banan igen, släpper den hemåt. Finns inga möjligheter att skjuta för Dalen, för Jönköping nu igen väl samlade. Nyst ville gärna lossa, så skjuter han ner nästa läge, så får Gustav Jansson hand om bollen. Och får ett...
Hello guys, hopefully you will have a lot of fun at the camp and hopefully learn some new things as well. So see you guys soon.
Hi everyone, hope you guys enjoyed that segment, which is our player development camp. And today we have Alexander here with us today, once again, and he will be answering some Q&A. So if you guys have questions, please send it to either question board or in the main chat. Okay, actually we have some questions in already. Alexander, are you there? Hi.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. We have some questions in already today. Sorry. Okay, somebody asked, when do you use wrist shots in SSL games and why is it important?
I use it, I would say 9 times out of 10, because it's the best shot for me as a player, since the opportunities in a game that I get, I usually don't have a lot of time to get the shot off. So most of the time, I would say, and yeah, I think it's the best shot to use, since it's hard to block.
Okay, another question that we got, which is kind of in relation to that, is if a ball is coming towards you, okay, given I know you just said that you like taking wrist shots, but then how does one decide between taking a slap shot and a wrist shot, considering that both of them are quick and powerful?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you like as a player, and if you have the time to shoot a slap shot, then you might want to do it, because they usually are the hardest shot or the highest velocity on slap shots. So if you have the time and the space to do it, I think that you can do it.
Okay, so our next question is a personal one. Who shoots harder, you or Victor?
As you saw in those videos, I'm not good at shooting slap shots. I don't do it, I would say, maybe one time in one season, but so yeah, I would have to say Victor on that one.
That's very humble of you. But okay, our next question is, what kind of blade and stick do you use?
So the stick is a Unihook Textreme with 26 flex and the white Player Plus blade, and I use the soft plastic on the blade, I guess you can call it. It's like medium on the blade, but there is different types of plastic. I think it's called PP. So yeah, that's the one.
Another personal question is, how is it like to live in Umeå?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's a good city, but it gets cold now in the winter. It's snowing at the moment, so yeah, a lot of snow, and it can get sometimes in the winter it can be like minus 20, 25 Celsius. So yeah, if you like cold weather, then you should definitely move here.
Another question we have is, how often do you change your blade during a season?
A couple of times, I would say. Not too often, because I like it when the blade is kind of used and not brand new. So, but I still have to change sometimes during a season, but not too many.
Our next question is, do you use full power when you shoot?
Yeah, that was something that I feel like that we didn't mention too much in those videos, that shooting is super important to aim and not maybe shoot hard all the time. Because if you aim and you aim well, then you will score much more goals than if you just shoot hard and never hit the goal and always shoot at the defender. They showed us some statistics that last game that we played, we had 72 total shots, but the Mullsjö that we played, they blocked half of them. So half of the shots that we took, they had no chance of going into the goal. So I always feel like you have to be good at aiming and not shooting hard. That's my biggest tip for shooting, actually.
Okay, this leads in nicely to our next question. Somebody asked, what is the best way to train shot accuracy?
I think that you should always aim, like think in your mind that I want to aim at low side of the left post, and then try to shoot at exactly that place. And you can do it standing still, and then when you feel like you have gotten good at that, you can do it with speed, and then maybe with some defender or something that's in your way that you have to avoid hitting as well.
Okay, the next question we have is, it is not easy to control the ball and keep the ball in your blade while doing the sweeper or drag shots. Are there any tips or pointers that you have?
It depends obviously of what hook you use. A lot of people in SSL have kind of a lot of hook on the blade, because the sweep shot is used a lot in the SSL, and for those guys I think it's kind of easy. But when you don't have as much hook as maybe for me or something, you have to just practice at doing it in speed and not losing the ball, and just the technique of the shot, how you wanna use your body and not lose the ball while going in pretty high speed. But I don't think there is any solution without just practicing on it.
Okay, the next question that I have is, okay, someone asked, I am a beginner, how do I start getting better and what shots should I start with?
Yeah, so just as we talked about yesterday, just being good at handling the ball and controlling the ball is a good way to start if you're a beginner. And for shooting, I would say just looking at the videos like Philip showed you, I think he had some good tips, and then maybe move up to some of the things that we showed. And so maybe standing still while shooting is the first step, so that you can add on some moving later.
Okay, for our last question, somebody asked, you seem to play with a short stick. How long is it, and does that affect your wrist shot?
I think I I used I had 96 centimeters on the stick, but now a couple of weeks ago I changed it to 98. But I still feel like I play with kind of a short stick compared to a lot of people. But I like the fact that it suits my playing style, because I think it works if you shoot wrist shots, and it's good for handling the ball and your technique and passing, I feel like. And so yeah, maybe shorter than most people, but I feel like it suits my playing style and shooting wrist shots.
Thank you so much, Alexander, for insightful input. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Take
You
it.
won't see you tomorrow, right?
No,
Tomorrow
this is my last time, so take care of CA and Nystedt this weekend now.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Okay, so that was our player development camp and Q&A with Alexander Hedlund, which is one of our instructors. So, okay. Right now, we'll be moving on to our next segment, which is our last segment of Iconic Singapore. And today we'll be going through Orchard Road. The giveaway will follow after this video. Ion Orchard is Singapore's most premium shopping strip and is home to 300 brands across fashion, beauty, dining and lifestyle. The 8-story mall is situated in Singapore's most famous street, Orchard Road. Its exterior is iconic and futuristic. Media architecture surrounds its entire facade to showcase the mall's retail brands, as well as act as a fluid canvas for multimedia art and live telecasts of events held within the complex. Ion Orchard is often bustling with locals and tourists alike. It is a fantastic go-to place to do all your Christmas shopping. Les Amis restaurant opened its doors in 1994 and is currently a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Les Amis is the French word for friends. This restaurant has won multiple awards since its inception. Its philosophy is to deliver the ultimate French fine dining experience. This is realized through the attention to detail and the dedication to sourcing the finest ingredients from France. Not to mention, their extensive wine list is one of the best in Asia. Today, Les Amis is said to be one of the top 50 restaurants by Asia's 50 best restaurants. Do pay them a visit if you ever have the chance and you will not regret it. Thank you so much for tuning in and see you guys at our next destination. Okay, so that was Orchard Road, which is a very famous street in Singapore. So now, time for the giveaway. As usual, you guys know the drill, so answer the trivia question in the next slide. Send one private Zoom message to Trivia Bot in this format, and it is not a speed contest. You have 2 minutes to answer and you can search on Google. And at the end of the day, we'll pick one lucky winner from this segment and we'll announce our winner on our social media channels. Yeah, this is Trivia Bot. Okay, so the question, today's prize is 2 Zetto t-shirts from our home brand Zetto. And the question is, what was Orchard Road before becoming what it is today? Please send in your answers in this format. Your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, your time is up. I saw that many of you have sent in the right answers. And yes, Orchard Road is, the answer actually comes from the name itself. Orchard Road was a place where a lot of plantations and orchards existed in the past, which is drastically different from what we now know of Orchard Road. There were actually nutmeg plantations, pepper farms, as well as fruit orchards. With that, we have come to the end of day 2 of our 2020 virtual SG Floorball Open. And we hope that you have learned something, and tomorrow we will see you again at 5 p.m. Once again, we will release the feedback link, which is here in the chat and also in our Telegram channel. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us today, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.